Aho, bonjour in denoi magnadok. Anin, kage gabo indigenicas. Mikanak and dudem. Mikanak wajuing and dunjaba. Beishoga kaba kong and danongom. Apichigo migwage bizendawig. And what I said there was, hello all of my relatives. My name is Kage Gabo. I'm Turtle Clan. I'm a descendant of Turtle Mountain. I live close to Minneapolis today. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in and listening to this live Ojibwe Word of the Day. Again, this is something I look forward to doing on Thursday nights. I consider it a privilege and a pleasure to take a few moments to talk about Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Chippewa, our language, the culture, the history, the spirituality, the ethics, the way of being. And that you take a few moments out of your day to share that and to listen as well. I'm deeply grateful in Gitchimi Gwechewendum. So I wanted to say I'm very grateful and thank you very much. In today's word of the day is one that I'm so thrilled about because we had a very long winter and kind of a long spring too, but it's Niibin. Niibin. And that word means it is summer. It is summer, and tomorrow will be the summer solstice, so I thought, well, let's cover what that word is, Niibin. And, well, it's a season. And it's one of the 4 seasons that kind of make up an entire year from the Anishinaabe perspective. So the first season, where we begin our year, would be Zigwan. Zigwan. It is spring. And that would be like Anishinaabe New Year. This is when we all meet at the sugar bush, when we begin harvesting and processing maple sap and turning that into zinzibakwad, turning that into delicious, healthy, nutritious maple sugar. And then our next season is Niibin, summer, and we'll go a little more in depth in that in just a moment. Then we have Dagwagan, it is fall. This would be when Miuapi, Manomanikedo, Anishinaabe. This is when Anishinaabe begin processing, harvesting wild rice, the good seed, the good berry, and where that's going to give us a whole bunch of nutrition and give us life. It really will. And then there will be Baboon. Baboon. It is winter. And yeah, during the winter months is when people are hunting, they're going on their trap lines. They're also Miuapi Atso Kedowe Anishinaabe. This is when they begin telling the sacred stories during the winter. And so this summer, this season will be one of 4, and it's summer. And personally, I've listened to some old folks and some traditional people, and if you ask them, oh, what's your favorite season? They're like, oh, I don't have one. It's part of a series. It's part of a big circle. And to like one part more than the other would kind of throw you off balance. I happen to love summer. I also love Dagwagan. I really love the colors involved. But this word Niibin, and I want to kind of geek out because I have a background in linguistics. The historical linguistic part of this word, Niibin, if you compare it to other languages in the Algonquin language family, that's the language family that Ojibwe, Anishinaabe, Chippewa, Potawatomi, Odawa, Cree, Cheyenne, Arapaho, on maybe like 38 different tribes are in this language family. If you start comparing this word Niibin to other languages, you get an idea of how old and how ancient this word is. So for example, if we were to compare it to our neighbors and our relatives to the north, it would be, they would say Niipin in Cree. And that's very similar to Niibin in Anishinaabe-Moan, in Ojibwe. So already you can tell, oh, this same word has shown up in 2 different languages. Now, if you go all the way to the East Coast, to the Atlantic Ocean, where the Penobscot and the Maliseet live, if you listen to them pronounce the word for it is summer. And I should make a point, in all of these languages, this is a word sentence. So if you say Niibin, what you're actually saying, if you were to translate this thoroughly and completely, with great care and detail in English, you would actually be saying, it is summer. It is summer. It's a complete sentence in one word. And if you ask them on the East Coast, how do you say it is summer? This is what it would sound like. Niibin. Niibin. So our ancestors hearing this would have known, we're related. You're a relative. And the hypothesis is that these languages all came from one language, one source language that was spoken a long, 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 long time ago. And to put a date on that, it's, I think from a scientific perspective, practically impossible. But it's easy to say thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago that this proto-language would have been spoken. And that some of these words that were spoken from thousands and thousands of years ago are still all in our languages today. So if you say something like Niibin, you're not just saying it in Ojibwe, you're saying it in Cree, you're saying it in Meskwaki, you're saying it in Potawatomi, you're saying it even in Maliseet and Penobscot. In Micmac, it's a Niip. So it's all the way from the Atlantic coast. That's a vast space. That's a vast area of people who are speaking a related language. So one of my questions that when I began learning about the seasons and how they differentiated the times was, how would you know that it's solstice? How would you know that it is summer? And these people who spoke this proto-language had, I think, amazing technology. And there's something that I want to share with you that it goes back, again, literally thousands of years ago. And it is in an area where we know there were Algonquian speakers in Ohio. And these are the Miami, Illinois, Kaskaskia tribe, as well as the Shawnee, and that comes from our word Shawanini, the Southerners. And so they spoke a language related to us too. In fact, if you were to check out their words for summer, you'd notice how very closely related they are. And there's this huge earthwork there, a mound. It's the largest serpent effigy in the world. And I'm going to try to show you a picture of it. It's an artistic representation. It's incredibly huge, and something amazing is going to happen here. It's cool because on a number of these earthworks and a number of these mounds, they will line up with the heavens on a particular day. So tomorrow, on summer solstice, if you're paying close attention and if you're at this mound, you will notice something quite amazing happen. Let me see it. That tomorrow, if you are standing right here, you will notice the sunrise. It will rise at exactly this part. Equinox, it will rise here. And at winter solstice, it will rise here. Now this, I don't know if you have an idea of how huge this effigy mound is, but it is, again, it's the largest serpent effigy mound in the world. And as people are doing more careful scientific explanation of it and examination of this mound, we're finding that it was probably begun, or if the first draft of it had been done at around the time Aristotle was tutoring Alexander the Great. So this goes way, way back into antiquity, that our ancestors had paid such close attention to where the sun was, where the earth was, how the seasons changed, and when they could note exactly at what point it would change. And so that's what they did. They created this work. And from there, if you have, this is how it was explained to me, an old man in the village with a stick making notches day by day by day. You would get, using that turtle calendar, you would have the 7 times 4 giving you 28. If you could go through the 13 moons on a turtle's back, you would have an entire year. So even if you had unseasonably cold or warm weather like we had this year, I mean, I know in like April it was snowing, that could easily throw someone off thinking, well, you know, is it really spring yet? It's been awfully cold and snowy. If you were able to pay careful attention and someone in your odena, in your town, in your village was keeping count, you would know exactly what time you were. you would know exactly where you were on on your path around the sun. And so I think that's remarkable. And something even cooler, we even have a name for this one in Ojibwe, Misiganebik. It's the giant serpent. So this is why I think the people who would later become the Ojibwe, before I think the Ojibwe language existed, were the ones who created this. But tomorrow, and this is really neat, when the sun sets, it will set in such a way that it will look like this huge serpent is actually eating the sun. And so it is remarkable that people paid such close attention that they knew exactly where the sun would be at this time every year. And another remarkable part too, I'll just show this. They weren't just paying attention to the sun because we run on a lunar calendar. They also noted where the moon would rise too. And it rises in these same locations. So I think that is just remarkable. And this would be important because we're doing very important things during the summer. One would be if you look at the names of the moons that will take place. One of the moons, this moon, is the Ode-Menigizes. This is the heartberry moon, the strawberry moon. So this is when we would begin gathering that very delicious yet very important and nutritious medicine, that mushkaki, that strength of the earth, the strawberries. This is also the Gittigegizes, the gardening moon. This is when we're harvesting or when we're planting and we're cultivating and we're looking after crops that are going to feed us. And particularly things like mandamin, okosaman, pumpkins, squash, mushkoreisman, the beans. And when you get all three of those growing together, you have a very nutritious and delicious combination going on with the three sisters. Next month will be the Abita Niibin, the midsummer moon. But this would also be the Misko-Menigizes. This is when they would begin harvesting raspberries. And then when you get into August, you have Minangizes, or Minigizes, the blueberry moon. So at this time, they're harvesting a number of berries. They're cultivating crops. These berries will be dried and dehydrated the same way we would with our wias, with our venison, with our meat. And so we would preserve them, and you would be able to have them even in winter. You would be able to soak them in water, rehydrate them, and they would be, according to some elders, just as delicious as when you had harvested them. And then you'd start getting ready for the Manomenekegizes, for the wild rice harvesting moon. So all of these things would be so important with what Anishinaabe are doing, the kind of foods that they're harvesting, the way that they're preparing for Dagwagan, Minawadash Baboon. As fall and winter are approaching, at this point of year, they're harvesting, they're planting, they're growing, and they're enjoying what is so far been beautiful and wonderful weather. So I want to wish all of you a happy solstice. I want to say I hope you have a wonderful summer. I know I'm looking forward to this one. And I want to say Apajigo Miigwech Bizendai. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to this live Ojibwe Word of the Day. And again, if you know someone who is interested in our language, our culture, our history, our spirituality, our way of being, please feel free to like and share this video. Aho, Miigwech Bizendai. Dagasana and Guamazik, please, all of you do take care. And the spirits will decide when we see each other again.